Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and yeah, we can get started.
Awesome, perfect. Let's get straight into it then. So, CC, 2025 has been, let's say, a hell of a year, to put it lightly. It's been very busy, great year. As we close it out, I want to start on more of a personal note with a two-folded question. So we would like to know, how has this year been for you personally, especially this new chapter post-pardon? And how has that experience changed how you think about life, work, and how you spend your energy now?
Sure. Well, I think, yeah, it's the last couple of years have been a roller coaster, obviously. And it's great to be pardoned. I think that at least on some psychological level is there's some level of freedom, vindication, approvalness, however you call it. There's different labels for it, but there's a feeling of finally being freed again. But practically not much have changed, to be honest. I still do spend my time the way I do before. So I really spend time on four things, I think. There's Giggle Academy, which is kind of my pet project. It makes me happy when I spend time on it. I think Giggle Academy is teaching more than 90,000 kids. It's a team of 60 people. They're building new features, improving the product, and they're growing. And there's a community behind them, etc. So it's a complete free for education platform. So that's one of the four things I'm working on, I think. There's Easy Labs, which I get involved with, talking to founders, helping builders, etc. So I'm more of a mentor coach kind of role. That's also quite fun. I kind of like to help new builders and interact with them, etc. I always have an assumption that other people know what I have in my head. So I think some of the things which I thought was like pretty obvious, sometimes are not so obvious to first-time founders. So that's kind of interesting and rewarding as well. I also spent the third thing I spent quite a bit of time on is just helping with the BNB ecosystem, right? So again, it's kind of overlaps with Easy Labs. There's a large number of project Easy Labs investing who are on the BNB Chain ecosystem. So I kind of naturally also spend time on the BNB Chain ecosystem. There, I'm not very technical anymore. So I just chat with people and kind of really just again mentor, kind of coach them, and just sort of really get their mindset so that they're basically pumped up. They're actively building their long-term driven, just to align like sort of mission, value, systems, etc. So that's that. And then I spent a bunch of time advising governments as well. That's actually taking up way more time than I have anticipated. So I talked to about a dozen governments at a fairly serious level, both officially, unofficially, publicly, or privately. There's a number of them that all of them think somehow I know like a lot about crypto. I think compared to them, I probably do. But there's a lot in crypto I still don't know. I think the space is moving at a very fast pace. But no, they want my advice on how to shape their regulatory frameworks, how to bring the industry to their countries, what to do, what not to do, etc. And of course, I'm very, very happy to help with that. So some of the more noticeable ones is Pakistan, like very large country. UAE, I help in an unofficial capacity. I live there, so I'm kind of in their backyard, and they come to me all the time with different requests, different questions, requests, etc. I'm not in any official role, but I'm always happy to answer questions when people ask me. So those are the four main things that take up my time. I've been working from home for a long time. I still work from home. I also, so life has been pretty good. I also try to keep fit. It's one of the things I want to take away from prison. So I still work out only like 30, 45 minutes almost every day, different exercises, etc. So, and I try to do a bit more outdoor sports given that I officially don't have a job. Life has been pretty good. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It sounds like you definitely got a lot to keep you busy, at least anyway. And we've all seen the famous planche, image on Twitter earlier this year. So that's always pretty cool. I guess then maybe keeping on that personal note, when you look back at 2025, what are the kind of milestones across maybe all of the areas that that you deal with that you're most proud of? And why do you think that they might matter beyond just like the crypto numbers and crypto as a whole?
Yeah, I think, if you look at the numbers, just some numbers kind of on the top of my head. I don't have, like, there's a lot of numbers that I sometimes come across, like either publicly or privately, etc. I think number one is on Giggle Academy, that's like we're reaching 90,000 kids. I said that earlier. So that's, I think, a pretty big achievement for a very small team. It's larger than a university. For BNB Chain, the volume really increased this year. I think for BNB Chain, to be very frank with everyone, like BNB Chain was somewhat neglected for the past few years. And then this year, finally, there's more attention and there's more drive and there's more energy put into it. And we can see the growth pretty clearly. I think the year-on-year volume, trading DEX volume growth is about 600%. So they've grown 6x. And they have more than 2 million daily active users on it. I think the last number I posted was like 2.4 million. I think that's unique addresses, but number of users probably a bit less than that, but it's going to be pretty close to 2 million, I think. So that's pretty amazing. And also the trading volumes on BNB Chain is quite high now. I think it's probably one of the highest. I don't track other chains that closely. I just encourage the builders to build. And sometimes I follow BNB Chain's Twitter, obviously, so I see more of their numbers. And then Easy Labs, I think, also had an interesting revamp. Well, had a very meaningful revamp. We welcome Ella back from her startup back into being an investor. And, there's quite a bit of activity going on. I think we made like close to 70 investments in 2025 alone, reviewed more than like 1,000 projects. So that's pretty, and also we have multiple programs going on, Easy Residency, 2 seasons, like 30, 40 projects combined. So that's going well. Also, Binance is doing well, even without my involvement there. It's reached 300 million users. I think everybody know that. So that's a pretty significant milestone for a trading platform, for crypto trading platform to reach that kind of number. And it's still growing pretty quickly. So I think, and also we're only tapping about single-digit penetration for crypto so far, depending on if we count number of people versus amount of wealth. I think amount of wealth will probably less than 1% penetration for existing wealth, and I think crypto can increase wealth by a few magnitudes. So yeah. So what else? I think those are interesting numbers.
Yeah, no, that's great. There's a lot going on there, and lots to celebrate in terms of achievements. Okay, cool. So just in the instance, my brain, in the necessity of time, I just want to shift gears just a little bit and go on to a couple of bit more focused questions. So I want to zoom into one area that's seen a lot of momentum this year, which is prediction markets. We're seeing kind of like multiple different project markets launching on BNB Chain, and Easy Labs has backed several projects in this space. What convinced you that prediction markets are worth betting on now, pardon the pun, and how do you see this category evolving in 2026 and beyond that?
Sure. I think it's hard to predict. Sorry for the pun. It's hard to predict the future. It's hard to predict markets. So prediction markets historically has been pretty large. It's a large TAM, total addressable market, right? So there's large potential. The market is there. And it's a new thing to crypto somehow. It wasn't big in crypto before. And now with Kyoshi Polymarket, I think Polymarket really sort of put that in the spotlight during the last election. It was more accurate than many of the pools because people have to bet with money. So I think, look, it's a great thing, but I don't know how it's going to play out. It could be like, one of them will take off really well, or all of them will do well. We don't know. The fundamental why Easy Labs in back multiple is very simple. Easy Labs never make exclusive bets. We like, especially like at incubation, like when the project just launches. We help all strong teams. Sometimes they like to work together. Sometimes they like to work separately. We just look at fundamentals. We look at the team. We look at the idea. The idea, obviously, usually a prediction market, we think that there is a market for it. We look at the execution ability, etc. And then we look for mission-driven founders. We encourage or even like sort of sometimes shape the investment so that they want we kind of push them to be long-term focused. So there's really no magic to it. There are multiple strong teams working in this particular sector, and I do think that we will see some strong successes. And we don't know which one, to be very frank. But it's not a horse race per se. In any market, there's always multiple players. Even if you look at a centralized exchange, yes, Binance is really big, but there are other centralized exchanges too. So it takes quite a long time for markets to converge on one. In some so in the early days, it's better to have multiple people trying multiple things, and then eventually they may merge, they may combine, they may win or lose over time. So I think the more players we support in this early stage, the stronger the sector will be, and the faster it will grow. So competition actually does not. Competition usually makes the pie bigger because different people are trying different things, different people in different regions, attracting different users, etc. So I think it's a good thing. I personally did not dictate we have to invest in multiple or only invest in one, etc. Easy Labs just backs strong teams. And of course, from a BNB Chain perspective, the chain is a public open blockchain. Anyone can deploy on there. And we, of course, I being a BNB holder, welcome more and more projects to deploy on BNB Chain. And BNB Chain provides a large amount of support, both in terms of potential funding, users. If it's a strong project, BNB Chain will tweet about it. So we want to give as much all the builders as much support as we can. And we're pretty equal from our perspective, or at least from my perspective. So, but again, there is some competition, but I think it's good especially for a brand new sector.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And as an employee of BNB Chain, definitely deploy on it, for sure. To be selfish for a second there. Okay. So again, just for the sake of time, I'm just going to do another big shift. So we can get to the community part. But basically I want to focus on another big topic for this year, which has been stablecoins. Now we're clearly seeing more of a diverse ecosystem emerging, particularly on BNB Chain when it comes to stablecoins. CC, what kind of role do you think that the chain should play in shaping the ecosystem? And as a stablecoin usage shifts from humans to AI agents and automated systems, what kind of needs to change at the protocol or, let's say, project level to then support that?
Sure. I think stablecoins, in my view, is a very large market. And I think we have only seen stablecoin 1.0. The 2.0 stablecoins have not really are just beginning to start. I think there's some stablecoins traditionally is a very simple concept. You put US dollars into a bank account for US dollar stablecoin, then you issue a stablecoin, and then that stablecoin, because it's a token on the blockchain, it moves very fast. This allows different arbitrage traders to arbitrage across different exchanges, etc. In different countries. If you're going to move US dollars through banks to different countries, it's going to be much slower, much more expensive, etc. And then stablecoins grown to be a really big business, right? So But the current largest stable coins don't have much yield. And then now, sort of the 1.5 generation, we're seeing kind of yield generation. I think very simply, people want to have a stable coin that give you good yield and allows you to trade at the same time. Just a very simple one, and it should be adopted by mostly. The stablecoin has, I believe, a very strong network effect, and Tether, leads in that because it's a first mover. But I think other stablecoins, but Tether doesn't have Tether is not strong on yield. I think this gives other stablecoins a window of opportunity to sort of compete. And I think there are more and more innovative ways for people to do this. I think Ethena did a very good job, and I think Easy Labs invested in Ethena. But Ethena's adoption rate is also limited by the exchange adoption. So I think the best stablecoin would be easy to trade on every exchange, adopted by a large number of exchanges, and then also provide yield. It's very simple, but it's also quite difficult to get all of that done. I think we encourage more teams to do it. Also, I think the current environment is different from a year ago. Now, in the U.S., there's a Genius Act. In other countries, stable coins are less. The most regulators are not super hostile to stable coins. I think the regulatory environment is much more open now. So I think that we'll see more opportunities. And again, also on BNB Chain for a long time did not have a native stablecoin deployed on there. The Tether on BNB Chain was, wrapped. And then, so USD1 was pretty much the first. I think there was FDUSD and then USD1. FUSD, for whatever reason, did not grow very well. I think the friction on the fiat channels was high. So that kind of limited the growth. USD1 is a very strong one from the US. And I think, today there was an announcement of Project U. And I think U has some really interesting potential as well. So again, from a BNB Chain's perspective, it's an open blockchain. Anyone can deploy a smart contract on the chain, and that's all you need to do to launch a project. But the chain ecosystem, the BNB Chain team obviously will want to welcome as many projects as possible and give you the strongest support. So again, it's not a horse race. It's just an open garden model.
Cool. Okay. So then shifting gears into builders for a moment. When you and Yeezy Labs are backing new projects today, what are the top things that you look for in founders and ideas? And then from the chain side, for teams building on BNB Chain, what kind of support should they realistically expect from the ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. I think fundamentally, I personally like to build to help builders who are mission driven, like they are passionate about something. And then the market's changed, right? So yesterday was memes that was hot. Today was like prediction markets. Then there will be stable coins, but they have to be really passionate about the thing that they're working on. Pivoting the product market fit is good, but if you pivot entire project over like every 3 months, then that means you're not really sort of passionate about something. And also the reason people want to start a startup is a bit different. Some people just want to make a quick cash, and they will and they may have a number like, say, I don't know, 10, 50, 100 million as a target. The problem with that is once they reach that target, what are they going to do? They may cash out, they may just quit, they may stop, etc. And also people may look for shortcuts to get to that target. And in crypto, it's quite easy. Launch a token, and then you sell the token. Those are not models we recommend. So I look for people who are long-term driven, ethical, but obviously also skilled and are smart and capable of doing startups. Startups are really hard. You also have to have the stamina. It's really like a physical labor sometimes, because you have to stay up for a very long period of time. You have to. It's just very busy. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of physical and mental stress. So other than that, I'm pretty open. That's pretty much it, really.
Okay, awesome. That's cool. So that's pretty much all of our questions done. So now for the part that the community has been waiting for, the community part of the AMA. So here's how it works just before we kind of get into that. We'll start by inviting 3 people at a time to the stage, and I'll call on one person at a time to ask their question to CZ. We'll let them answer, and in the meantime, we'll rotate each person off the stage once the question has been asked, so we can get through as many as we can. Now bear with us a second as we sort out the speakers, as I see there are currently a flood of requests coming in to speak. So if I can just ask Esther if you can just bring people up to the stage for me, just whilst I do that. Just a couple of things to go over. Apologies. Whilst we're adding speakers to the stage, please keep it to one question that's short and to the point, and no shilling or token promotion whilst on the stage. Otherwise we will have to remove you, and we don't want to do that. So we've got a couple of people coming up onto the stage now. So let's start with Joseph. Do you want to ask your question first?
I'd like to ask CZ, as a person with a technical background and education, what was your path like to learning business and managing people? And my second question is a piece of advice that you would give me as a person that I would like to cultivate more skill sets on the business-centric areas.
So I think my advice in this case may be a little bit harsh. I apologize. I think EQ is very important for a tech person to be successful in the business world. You have to have a very good gauge of the right environment and being able to connect with your audience, etc. So I feel that you coming from a tech background, you should be very good on tech first, and then you have to have one strong point at least before you branch out into other things. Otherwise, you're basically not strong in anything. That's usually not good. It sounds like you're probably a relatively young person, from a young experience, less experience. I would recommend, for me, my path is I worked in Bloomberg for a number of years. I was involved in startups before and after that. And then I built a network of people around me who are all strong in their respective fields. So it takes time to build that network. There are some founders who just found an idea and then grow quickly. There's a few of those, but by and large, most founders take time to build a network before they actually hit the sort of big win. So that would be my recommendation. I think for entrepreneurs, there's no set recipe. There's so many different ways to be successful. So don't take my advice too harshly. I just want to set the tone for the future question so that we don't spend a lot of time for everyone. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But also, there's so many more opportunities in the future. So just keep building, keep learning, and go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Cool. Okay, let's go straight into the other one. So Yellow Panther, I think you were second there. So if you want to go next, just just a reminder on keeping it short and sweet. Thanks.
All right. What you think that BNB Chain did correct years ago during the initial growth phase that led to becoming one of the largest blockchain today? And what is one key trait that separates BNB and other chains? Thank you.
Okay. I think that's pretty common for anything that's successful. Nothing starts from day one being the biggest, best industry leading, thing, token wise or any business, right? So most successful businesses have to go through a very long period of building, etc. If you look at NVIDIA, the most valuable company on the planet, today, they spent 40 years to get there. And the first 20, 30 years until recently, no, they were not this big. But they continue to work on it. And their CUDA sort of ecosystem wasn't, when they first launched, everybody hated it. Well, all the investors hated it because it wasn't bringing money, or revenue. And they're a public company. So, the investors are very short-term oriented. Every quarter report matters. So for BNB Chain, I think, look, my mindset is very simple. We just got to continue to build. For the people who are really building, you mostly keep your head down building. And once in a while, you lift your head, you look at the competition, you look at the landscape, you see where you're going. But most of the time, you keep your head down. And you don't, whether you're number one, number two, number three, that doesn't matter. You just got to continue to do what you do best, which is to continue to build value. You won't always be the most money making thing. You will not always be the most sexy thing. You will not always most be the even successful thing. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes there's setbacks. But you just keep building. So I think, for me, BNB was always the long-term thing. I've always said many, many times that the BNB ecosystem should be larger than any sort of other businesses, like any other individual businesses within the ecosystem. This includes centralized exchanges, DeFi protocols, etc. So we just continue to build. It is also possible that a ecosystem, the fundamental layer of the ecosystem may be smaller than any particular token. If you view it this way, right? So many companies that are listed on Nasdaq are way more valuable than Nasdaq itself. So it's also possible that way. So any of the combinations could be possible. But we find people, we build a team, and the team does what they do best, which is to build this public blockchain ecosystem. And they will continue. It's already had product market fit a long time ago. And it may not be the biggest, the most expensive, et cetera, over time, but we'll just continue to build value into it. So for me, it was just like, this is sort of what I talked about for builders. They have to have this long-term marathon mentality too. It's like a marathon plus a boxing match combined. You're boxing at a marathon length. You just got to keep going. So what you said, I appreciate all the nice words about BNB Chain today, but what BNB Chain was, or when it was sort of an underdog, didn't bother me. Well, of course, it bothered to the level that we want to be more, we want to contribute more value, but we just gotta keep building. Yeah. Sorry, that's a boring answer, but let's move on.
Yeah. And then we'll go straight into is it Bro Leon?
Hi, thanks for the host, and hi CZ. It's glad to have a chance to ask you again.
Yep.
I'm a KOL, and I just passed the introduction part. My question is, I'm really glad to hear you spend a lot of time tonight talking about the stable coins. That's actually what I'm most interested in lately. So, what my question is, I noticed that Binance has supported FDUSD for a long time, and also invested in Asana, the USDE, and supported list in Binance as well. More recently, I find Binance also brought support for USD1. So, and you mentioned that the U project tonight, right? And it's also get a lot of support from you and Binance. So I just wondering, so is that kind of a horse racing model that people discuss a lot recently on social media? So do you think you are trying to let the stable coins fight with each other and then find the best one according kind of a horse racing model?
Well, it's only a horse race if you let them. Well, in this case, I don't think horse race is the right name for it. There's multiple e-commerce on the internet. There's multiple search engines on the internet. Those are not horse races. Just like when you have an open garden platform or ecosystem, many people will start projects, and everyone sees that stable coins, especially given the recent rumored or alleged valuation for Tether, 500 billion, etc., and the alleged revenues of tens of billions a year. people want to start competing projects. And if you look at centralized exchanges, there's so much horse racing, right? There's thousands of exchanges, etc. So it's just a natural echo. It's just a natural, what do you call it? It's just how the business world works. From a support perspective, BNB Chain, Easy Labs, BNB Chain is an open blockchain. Easy Labs is an investor. Investors are very rarely going to go exclusive in one sector. Some do. Those guys usually invest in much later stages. So so I wouldn't say it's a horse race strategy by anyone. It's just how the market works. We do invest in multiple strong teams, and then we also see that many times when we like a team, and the team is strong, sometimes the project doesn't work for various other reasons. We want every project to work, and also there will be competition. And as I said before, competition is kind of helps to grow the market, and it helps to validate which features, which designs users like. So I think that's a very healthy thing especially in an early stage sector. I think now everyone realizes, okay, stable coins can be large and can make a lot of money. So a lot of people are trying different models. I love to see that. So I love seeing it. So we are supportive on multiple projects. Over time, I think the network effects will eventually kick in. The users will gravitate towards the most compelling ones. I think also when I mentioned right now we're seeing stablecoins generation 1. I think generation 2 stablecoins will be much better, I think. So yeah, that's kind of my view.
So do you think this conversation will ever move more into crypto native platforms, or will X always remain the main public square? And where do you see Binance Square fitting into that future, since it was one of the earliest crypto native social platforms?
Sure. I think there's always convergence in terms of feature overlaps, right? So once a platform is more mature, they will add more other features, and also any social feature you can add to your product helps retention, and also helps activity as well, right? So when people discuss trading, etc., more on your platform, then it's more generally more volumes on your platform, and also X is more of a global town square, right? Everybody, there's quite a lot of politics, other topics being discussed on X, and the X user base is a little bit more, I would say, Western focused. There is some a lot of Chinese content. I see other languages as well, but it's slightly heavily skewed towards the Western sort of discussions. And politics is a big part of it. So I think Binance, Square, and other platforms developing social features there, discussions, forums, however you call them, is good. Also, any platform that develop more chat programs to let users connect with each other, chat functionality-wise is really easy to implement. But from a growth perspective, to have a large number of users chatting with each other in a secure way, I think there's a lot of room to be done there. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I think we can see from even the X chat that the encrypted chats, the more privacy-driven chats are really needed features. I like Telegram. I don't hate Telegram. I know Pavel as a friend, but Telegram default is the chat is not encrypted, right? So and you have to manually encrypt them, and then the encrypted chats do not share across platform, do not share across your devices, etc. Where Signal does that, I think a little bit better. I think we're looking to see what XChat can do. I think any large platform should have their own chats, and also chats helps with customer support, with users connecting with each other, etc. So I think all of those are interesting, and also the social platforms adding more crypto features, like letting users pay, earn, buy crypto, etc. I think it's great for crypto. So there's some overlaps. Not to say which one's good or bad. That's just natural course of business evolution. So I do encourage all platforms to develop more features that can retain, attract, and help users. So I don't think it's a strict conflicting anything, but I think overall though, it's relatively difficult for a financial platform to develop into a social platform. They're just very different genetics in terms of risk, compliance, security, etc. Reverse is also quite difficult. For social platforms to develop into financial platforms, also social platforms are very easy engaging. They don't have any KYC really. And once you put KYC onto a social platform, that they will lose a lot of users. So they have large number of users, but the total lifetime value for each user is much lower. They're not financial transacting users. So the genetics, again, the security level for a social platform is much lower. And we've seen that with that actually causes many problems, even for crypto. So there's a lot of differences between those two type of platforms and the genetics behind them. So I think it's quite difficult for them to take each other's market share. But I do encourage both sides to develop more features to complement themselves.
Perfect. Okay, then. So then we have AB Kuai-dong. Sorry, I've butchered the name there. But if you want to go next.
Hi, thank you for taking us up. Since there are already quite a few prediction markets now, could you please share what differentiates Probable, the prediction markets jointly launched by PancakeSwap and YZ Labs? And is there any plan for Binance Wallet to support or integrate Probable in the future?
Okay. I always thought you were a guy. I follow you on Twitter. I see a lot of your posts, which are quite insightful. Good to hear your voice. The short answer is I don't know what differentiates them, to be very frank. They're all, Probable is a new project launched by a team that we know relatively well. But also at this stage, the features they offer today or even on day one may not define them. Most projects at this early stage will take a few pivots to find their sort of product market fit. So I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't bet on what they have today, or I wouldn't even like the way I look at projects at this early stage is I look at the product to see if the product is good or not. But more so, I want to by looking at the product, I'm trying to judge whether the team can deliver. Basically based on this set of requirements, did I do a good product? What if the product requirement changes tomorrow? They want to pivot to a different type of feature system. They want to add a new feature. They want to add a new thing. Can they deliver quickly? To me, that's more important than what the feature set they have today. And I'll tell you, all the prediction markets, they're all going to copy each other, right? So one of them will do, okay, the funds that's locked on a prediction, it will generate yield now. Everyone else will be forced to copy them. If that feature attracts users. If that feature doesn't attract users, then people will eventually over time drop it, or they will not copy it. So I think in this early stage, there will be a lot of feature copying, learning from each other, and also a lot of innovation as well. I think the jury is still out which features will win. I am not that good to predict that. I do think that ease of use, capital efficiency, fees, security, and also to some extent yield. All of these features are important for users. But again, this is such a relatively new thing. I think Poly Market did some good volumes during the last election. I think the next big thing that everyone talks about is the World Cup. So I think the teams that does not sleep during the World Cup probably will win, at least in the short term. And that would be like a very interesting, like that's the time that you gotta have your teams fully on standby, etc. But the real battle is won over the long run. So sorry, I couldn't give you any detailed descriptions. It's really the team's ability to execute and how committed they are over the long run.
Perfect. Okay, I'll ask AB BNB to ask a question, and then in the meantime, I'll work on some other speakers.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Hello, CZ. Hi. So, what's the future goal of Aster? I talk about DIX in 2026 or 2027.
That's a question better asked for Aster. I talked to the team. I helped them to the extent that I could. To be honest, but it's really up to them. I kind of give them a sort of guideline advices, but they're not very specific. Like I don't tell them which feature is going to win. You need to do this and that. I don't give those kind of advices. Whereas, how you build teams, how do you attract users, what kind of ethical values you need to adopt, etc. So I talk more along those lines, and not so much on specific product features, to be very frank. So, and in fact, I haven't talked to the team for a couple of weeks. So I don't know the answer to that question. That's an Aster specific question. You should ask Aster. I think they're pretty available, to be honest. They interact pretty well based on what I see in the community. I should go there.
So we got Big Kids.
So the question is, if all your speeches, your presentation, and your tweets, if all of them were erased from the internet, and you have like 60 seconds, so what is the most useful thoughts that you're going to leave the world with? Thank you very much.
That's a pretty grand one. Look, I don't think I'm defined by the content that's out there. The content only need to be out there once, and people remember it. I think if all the content are erased, I don't think there's any magical thing I need to distill to a few words. I would probably just say good morning, and then I will get a lot of responses back. Yeah, all right. Let's move on to the next one. I don't know how to answer that one.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got the DePIN cats.
Hello. Thanks for being invited up. I wanted to get your thoughts, Zizi, on, as we're going through a phase change in crypto right now, moving away from speculation to more real world stuff. What are your thoughts on DePIN, payment rails, real world assets, and how they will play a role in the crypto sphere in 2026 and beyond?
Sure. Okay. So this question is more like a predict the future question, which I'm not very good at. But based on what I've seen so far, I think RWA or tokenization, there's still a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk at the country levels, which people who interact with me at the country senior leadership levels about tokenizing national assets, and the discussions are pretty serious. And it makes sense, right? So if you have, for example, if you look at oil, America had a lot of oil, but it was very difficult to extract. Luckily, America had a very good capital markets, and they raised a lot of money through the stock market. Basically, oil companies were listing for large sums of money. They were able to raise enough money so that they can research and develop the tools to extract the oil from the really hard to reach places. And so again, this type of situation could, I think, applies to at least some level towards tokenization. Many of the countries have like rare earth minerals or other useful things, but they can't really monetize or grow that industry. Maybe by tokenizing it, you can have the initial interest or initial tokenization money to use to develop that industry to a much better form. So it could be a very good bootstrap mechanism. It could also be a good finance mechanism. So basically, without selling the actual resources, you can sell the token. Once you get the money, you can, if you just spend that money, then that's bad. Then you're basically spending the country's future resources. But if you can manage that money well, and then you have a very strong financial tool that at your disposal that you can use to help grow that industry. So there's some really serious discussions around that. I've had much less discussions about DePIN. Probably just not. I'm not really in that field. But robotics is coming up. So AI robotics is a big field. We have invested. Easy Labs have invested heavily in robotics, AI, etc. I do see a future where AI and robots, agents and robots are going to use crypto in a very heavy way. Today they're not, but eventually they will. There's no other way. They're not going to use traditional money. They're not going to do. They're not going to be able to open bank accounts. They're not going to pass KYC. They're not going to be able to do a selfie. They're not going to They're not going to be able to swipe a card. So none of those things are designed for agents. So on those aspects, I think DePIN kind of ties more into the physical side on the robot side. So I think that will be a big sector. But so far, I've not had that many discussions, at least based on my personal interactions. There was another thing you mentioned, which I forgot what it was. But again, I think RW tokenization is probably the biggest topic of the few topics you mentioned.
Perfect. Okay, so then next up we'll take KM.
Okay, GM, BNB, CZ. First off, I would like to appreciate the BNB Chain team on the zero gas fees on the USDT. That's the zero USDT carnival. And I would like to know how long will it continue, because it's actually massive seeing zero fees on exchanges and all that. And lastly, CZ, do you actually think AI trading agents will actually be a meta in 2026?
Sorry, do I think agents will be meta?
Yeah, AI trading agents will actually boom or actually be a meta for 2026. The way prediction markets are actually skyrocketing.
Okay. I think AI agents will be used very heavily in trading, but I think there's a few different ways you could play out. It might be different from prediction markets. Almost every sophisticated trader, large trading, algo trading, hedge funds, etc., that have a team managing trading, I would expect them to be using some form of AI already. And even if they don't know, they're probably already using some AI for data analysis, etc. The real ones will be training their own AI algorithms, or at least trying. AI trading as a platform have two potential conflicting factors. One is if you have an AI algorithm that can make a lot of money, why would you sell that as a service, right? So why don't you trade yourself? The only reason is you don't have enough capital. But today, capital is pretty easy to raise for good teams, especially if you have a good AI that can actually make money. If you sell the AI on monthly subscription fee to other people, then that means that you make more money selling the AI than you trade yourself. That necessarily means the AI makes less money than the people's combined paying for it. There's a counter argument to that argument, which is, I make a tool for people to customize their AIs easier than they develop their own AIs, and everyone uses slightly different variations of that AI. I think that argument is a little bit weak. It's not a very strong argument. People tweaking their own AI is probably not going to get a huge advantage over other people who are using native AIs on their own, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I most likely will be wrong. So AI trading platforms, I think there's some counter arguments both ways. I don't know how they will play out. This is different from a prediction market, which just is a platform where you make predictions and they charge a fee. They make a spread, or they make a very tiny fee on each user action. There's very different philosophies. So, and also a AI algorithm that's very successful, that's spread out to a larger number of used by one guy, will be less effective if used by everybody in the market. The markets are mass psychology markets, right? So you're basically trading against everybody. Everyone using the same strategy. The first guy using that strategy usually wins. The last guy using that strategy probably will not win, even though they're using the same strategy. So then speed matters, performance matters. There's a lot of other things that matter. So the good algorithms, one algorithm cannot be used by a large number of people to make money. It's not in that sense, it's not an infinite game in terms of trading strategies, because they kind of participate in the same market at the same time. One trading strategy doesn't infinitely expand the market. So so that's my thought on AI trading. I could be very wrong. I hope to be proven wrong and see some AI trading platforms. But AI will be used very heavily in trading by everyone in their own way, in my opinion. All right.
Okay,
I think we kind of reached time limit. Yeah. So I think we should wrap it up for this one. And then, hopefully I want to do this like every month or so, roughly. Don't hold me to it. And then, we just keep it very casual and informal. I think this one is already a little bit too formal for my liking. I think we should, probably next time we'll just, turn on, spaces and have people ask questions for a while, and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds great. Okay. Well, then in that case, let's wrap things up. Before I do, just want to say thank you to CZ for taking the time out to do this, for sharing so openly. I really appreciate that. Thank you also to the team for hanging on to the call and being on hand at all times. And then, of course, thank you everyone who has joined us live, asked questions, and listened in from around the world. If you missed any parts of this conversation, the space is recorded, so you can immediately listen back to it. And then, until then, I guess we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. And catch you in the next case. Thanks, CZ.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.